All right. Welcome back, everyone, to Effing with the Ineffable. I am Zoe.
Back. I'm Smokey Pagleton.
It has been a long time since we recorded.
It has been.
Your beard is probably longer.
I was sleeping out on the mountain.
Yeah.
I'm Rip Van Winkle.
And I had a baby who's sitting right here.
Oh my gosh, you do. Where'd you get that?
I made it.
Wow. Made in America.
He is
American made.
So we have not recorded in, I think we recorded maybe in October.
Yeah.
And now it is almost the end of December.
Yeah.
It's almost the anniversary of our show, because our show started, I think we recorded our first episode New Year's Eve.
Is that right?
I think it was New Year's Eve. It was either New Year's Eve or like December 30th of last year. It was somewhere around. It was somewhere around there.
I'll believe it.
Yeah.
Of course, I believe that if you fold a piece of paper 8 times, you can reach the moon.
You know how many times it takes to fold a piece of paper in half?
Do you?
To reach the moon?
Take a quick guess. 3, 2, 1.
42.
42 times.
One piece of paper folded in half 42 times would reach the moon.
The paper material itself won't hold up to that kind of folding, because it'll just disintegrate.
We had to fold a piece of paper to get this chair not to wobble that we're recording on. So anyway, we were having that conversation right before this.
It's in our this is our high tech studio.
Yeah,
we got a new.
We did get a new microphone.
Check out that microphone, huh?
Courtesy of my husband.
Sibilance.
And we so what else has been going on the last 2 months? You had a grandson, your first grandson.
Yeah, we had grandson.
There
was a Thanksgiving. We had a Christmas in there.
Yeah, we just finished. Well, we didn't finish Christmas. It's still ongoing.
It's part of the 12 days of Christmas right now.
4th day of Christmas.
Yeah. My true love gave to me
4 French hens.
4
calling birds, 3 French hens, 2 turtle doves, and a partridge in a pear tree.
You know what the calling birds represent?
No.
The Gospels. 4 calling birds. They were calling us to believe in the gospel.
Do they all have a meaning?
Yes, they all have a symbolic meaning. They're not just gibberish nonsense.
See, that would be good to look up.
Although it seems like gibberish nonsense. That was because back in the day, it was illegal to be a Christian. And so they found funky ways to...
Like the fish symbol, right?
Yeah, they found funky ways to...
get around that.
To rep the faith without
losing their head.
Without getting crucified.
Yeah.
Although getting crucified for the faith, pretty much a straight highway to heaven, right?
Speaking of that, you know what today's feast day is?
Saint Stephen? No.
That's the 26th. Today's the 28th. It's the Feast of the Holy Innocents.
The Holy Innocents. They got killed in Bethlehem, right?
Yeah, like all of... Yeah, because Herod
decided, we'll just kill them all, let God sort them out.
And the Holy Innocents are like kind of like super martyrs, actually, because they were killed for Jesus.
Right.
And not only that, but they were killed in the place of Jesus, which is a pretty hardcore way to become a martyr.
Martyrdom.
So they were like some of the first saints, or the Holy Innocents. So yeah, that's a fun fact.
So what else did we do? I don't know. Joe Biden continues to deteriorate.
Did you own your
COVID still is? Yeah, I think I just bought the property last time when we did this. Maybe. So we've been working on the property. I've been trying to get a he's hawking a loogie.
Oh my.
Yeah, we've been working on the property. I've been trying to get that road. Oh boy, that's heavy work. I need an excavator. Some kind of... Anybody got a bobcat that I can use for a couple days?
Let us know in the comments.
near southeastern,
United States.
yeah, in the Appalachians. Anyway,
But no, it's been a good few months. It's been busy and then very slow ever since I had the baby.
slow for you.
For
Been-
me, yeah.
It's been exceptionally busy around here.
Yeah.
We got everybody visiting us, grandma and grandpa, and
All my
all
siblings.
my children were home, which was nice. Christmas. My
So we
wife
had a very
got
full
sick,
house. Yeah.
so she's only able to make half as many meals as she usually does. It's really been a hardship on me.
My
You talk
dad-
about a martyr.
My dad made collard greens yesterday, which was one of the best things
Ooh.
I've eaten in a long time. You should make
Yeah.
more of those today.
They're good. They're good. And it's been beautiful weather.
Yeah. Last year on Christmas, it was very snowy. We probably had what, like several inches of snow.
We had enough to sled on,
Yeah. And enough that the cars were stuck. We weren't going anywhere.
but
Then this year it was 70 degrees
70
on
degrees
Christmas
outside.
Day.
Yeah.
Beautiful. So that's the beautiful thing about living here. is you kind of get it all. Hi, buddy. You want to say hi? He's the first of my children to appear on the
Is he
show.
allowed?
I mean, sure, for today only.
It's got zero strength in his neck. Look at him just wobble around.
He's just very relaxed right now. See, I'm holding up his neck and he's pushing against it. So
He hasn't helped at all with gathering wood or anything.
Clearing
He hasn't even run the vacuum. Hasn't even done women's work, as it were.
yeah, he's pretty
That's a joke.
he's pretty
People are
useless as far
so
as
sensitive.
running the commune,
Yeah.
but he's cute. He contributes cuteness.
Let's look down in the comments. Should Smokey P trim his beard and mustache and maybe get a haircut? Holy moly. I'm looking Sasquatch. I had a beret on yesterday. I looked like Sam Kinison.
Yeah, you did. That is true. You know, my one friend who always watches this show, shout out to you. I don't know if you want me to say your name, but she is the godmother. Oh, poopies. She's the godmother of this little boy.
Hey.
So she's about to be, because he hasn't been baptized yet. Gotta get
What are we waiting for?
gotta get his birth certificate first.
Let's get that little sucker baptized.
I'm trying.
We'll go dunk him out in the rain barrel right now.
It's a little cold in here, so I'm gonna put his hat on. Oh.
I'm sweating. Of course, I was just outside working a little bit.
I'm not cold. I'm wearing a t-shirt, but it's a little cold for him. He has no body fat.
Yeah, he doesn't.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry.
So anyway, yeah, what's our topic? Do we have a topic? Do we want to get to a topic?
We do have a topic.
People don't want to hear us just, do they?
I don't think so. So I'm
Down in
going
the comments, do you want to just hear us ramble and speak extemporaneously, or do you want us to have a scripted topic?
Okay, so we're back. Baby
Are we sharing?
had to be. Yep, we're sharing
Good.
the screen. Baby had to be changed, so he had to be taken away. This is an article from the Pew Research Center, which is striking findings from 2021. So this is like, I think 10 different, I haven't even read all of these yet. Oh, it says 15 findings.
Does it?
It says these 15 findings cover subjects ranging from extreme weather to COVID-19.
All right, 15.
So we're going to talk about these 15 findings.
Okay.
Number 1, a growing share of childless Americans say it's unlikely they will ever have children.
That's true.
This is so this is showing that in 2018 it really hasn't gone up that much. It's only gone up 3%, not at all likely, but the that is definitely the biggest area of growth, is that more people are saying that they're not going to have kids. and this is interesting. The percentage of people 18 to 49 saying they are very likely to have more children went down quite a bit, from 32 to 26%, only in like
very likely to not have
more children someday. So very likely to have more children, that percentage went down.
Oh.
I'm saying this not at all likely
Oh, okay.
went up.
Yeah. Okay.
So,
I see.
Yeah.
So those are different. Okay.
So
I was confused.
Yeah, this says a majority of the people who say they are not going to have any more children just because they don't want to. 19% say it's due to medical reasons.
They just don't want to. They don't specify a reason.
Yeah, it says 56% say a major reason is they just don't want to have more children.
Okay. Meaning they just don't like children?
I don't know. So they either have children and they don't want to have any more.
It's kind of useless information if it doesn't specify the motivations behind the decision. What?
Well, this is just kind of facts, I think. I don't know that this is necessarily like.
Well, the fact is, it's not very helpful information.
All right. Okay. So
to me, anyway, it doesn't add to my understanding. It adds to my understanding that more and more people don't want to have children. Why do you think that is? I mean,
I think we've kind of talked about this before, I think, on the show, but I think that, you know, having children is really difficult. I'm remembering now that I have a newborn. It's difficult to be pregnant. It's difficult to give birth. It's difficult to have a newborn. It's difficult to adjust, especially if you already have other children. It's difficult to adjust to having a new child. Okay, baby's back. Here he is.
I got my baby back, baby back.
What do we think the reason is for people not wanting to have more children? I think that, like I said,
you're saying it's just difficult. It's more difficult than they're willing to do. I'd say that's probably true, that people are just generally less willing to sacrifice for the sake of others.
Yeah. And
are less interested in community and family, and are just more selfish. Selfishness has really just become rampant in the world. Unless
you view individuals as having like intrinsic value, as like, you know, a gift from God, which is what I view children as. I mean, I think that a lot of people, even friends of mine, view children as like a
burdens, yeah.
Because like, really, yeah, the kids aren't there to like serve your will. They do quite the opposite most of the time. They rebel against you. They make things difficult. People also, I think a lot of people think that, my husband and I were talking about this, I think a lot of people think children are this insane expense. They think that children are super expensive and that you have to have all this money to have kids, which
is not true.
Kids are actually, I mean, he is by far the least expensive member of our house. He's pretty easy to satisfy. He just needs some diapers and
attention.
And lots of attention.
That's what people don't want to give, though. People don't want to
give
share
attention.
Their time.
Yeah.
People have tremendous amounts of free time and they're very stingy with it.
Yeah.
They don't want to spend it. And the correlation with that is people have increasingly lack of any real meaning in their life.
Yeah.
They don't have really anything of value to put their time and attention toward, because they've turned away from life itself and from humanity as a value. They don't have anything, and so there's just tremendous despair. There's so many suicides, so many overdoses, and it's just, you know, and those are definitely, I believe, correlated. That's not an accident that those things are happening at the same time, that people are turning away from being part of the circle of life and feeling alienated from life.
Because you don't get meaning without sacrifice. That's where meaning is found.
Right.
Meaning is found in doing things that are hard. And so
and that are worthwhile.
And if you only ever want to seek to feel good, you're not gonna have a meaningful life. It's like that book, The Happiness Trap.
Speaking of, pass me the crack.
It's like The Happiness Trap, the book that we talk about a lot. I mean, he says in there, you know, if you're always just trying to avoid feeling bad, you're
squirming, lad.
You're not gonna ever have a meaning. You're not gonna ever work toward things that give your life meaning. When things feel bad, you acknowledge it, and then you do the next thing that's moving you toward the life that you want.
Toward a rich and meaningful life.
Yeah. All right.
Whatever that means.
Let's go to the next one. Okay. Around 7 in 10 US adults said in an August survey that they personally know someone who has been hospitalized or died from COVID. I know somebody who died from COVID. Do you know somebody who died from COVID?
Just peripherally.
My friend's
you're talking about
dad.
Your friend's dad. Yeah.
He died from COVID.
That's who I was thinking of.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I don't know. Hey, babe. I don't know that. I don't know. I've known other people who've had COVID.
Yeah.
But I haven't known that many people who have become seriously ill with it.
I will say I know at least a dozen people who have had COVID. More than that. I know a lot of people who have had COVID personally, and most of them, they said they felt crummy for a day or two, and then they pretty much felt fine afterwards.
Either mild symptoms or no symptoms.
Yeah. So I think, I mean,
I haven't known
part of it's hard too, because if you have no symptoms or even mild symptoms, like my daughter was sick this past week, but her symptoms are like fever. You know, she's 2 years old, so she can't really describe like, I'm having body aches, I'm having chills, that kind of stuff. She had a fever and she was extremely crabby. But it's like, is that COVID? Is it something else? It could be tons of things cause fever and crabbiness and whatever. And like right now, people in our family are sick, but it's like, okay, it could be COVID, it could be a cold.
Supposedly one had a positive
COVID test, but I mean, it's just so hard to know. I think part of it is like, if somebody's gonna die from COVID, you really are like, you're gonna hear about that. If somebody gets COVID and doesn't have any symptoms, you're probably not gonna hear about it. So I think that does kind of skew the thought, the amount that COVID looms in our mind is like a big issue, I guess.
Plus, you can't count on me because I'm a hermit. I don't know hardly anybody.
That is true. Yeah.
And I like it.
Yeah. So the percent of people who have tested positive for COVID or been pretty sure they had it. This is interesting. 30% of US adults. I would think it would be even more than that.
And your hat keeps falling off.
I mean, if you're holding him, he probably doesn't need a hat.
All right,
but
no hat.
He is a squirmy wormy right now.
Papa's beret. I'm gonna wear the beret.
So only 30% of US adults tested positive or were pretty sure that they had it, whereas 72% of them know someone who's been hospitalized or died of COVID. That's kind of interesting.
Well, I know. Yeah, I know someone. Is this Facebook no or like biblically no?
I mean, probably somewhere in the middle. I mean, it says personally no, so I don't. Who knows? Anyway, it's an interesting stat. Okay. Americans voted in record numbers in the 2020 presidential election as turnout rose in every state.
Nice.
Well, part of that is because wasn't a lot of the election mail-in ballots.
A lot of it, yeah, they made it easier.
They made it super easy to
for
vote.
everyone to vote, which
So,
is good. That's good.
Yeah, it is good, as long as we can keep that legitimate, right?
Yeah, right.
So Minnesota had the highest turnout of any state. I wonder what had the least. Let's see. Yeah, so there's lots of interesting information. I'll link this article below, but
Tennessee
had the least.
getting there.
Or Mississippi. Yeah, a lot of these
Oklahoma
had.
Wow, Oklahoma's lowest, huh? Yeah, Oklahoma's lowest.
Yeah, because what is this plus? Is it just plus up from last time?
I don't know.
Yeah. Okay, so turnout, it increased in every US state.
Yeah.
Voter turnout. That is interesting.
At least 50% in every state. That's good.
Washington was the most. It said Minnesota. But Washington had the highest increase? Oh wait, no. Utah. Yeah, there's a lot of information on this article, which I'll link below. So anyway,
you're gonna realize there's lies, there's damn lies, and there's statistics.
All right, about 8 in 10 Asian Americans say violence against them is increasing in the US.
Personally, or they just become more aware of it?
This is the percentage of Asian adults who say violence against Asian Americans in the US is increasing.
Mm-hmm.
Now, what I actually want to know is like, have hate crimes against Asian Americans or even just crimes in general increased?
Maybe because of the COVID,
this says nearly half experienced an incident tied to their racial or ethnic background since the pandemic began.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess I'd like to see
blame some Asian Americans
for COVID.
That makes a lot of. That's a very logical explanation.
Oh, bless you.
If we beat up some Asian Americans,
COVID will end.
Probably be able to end this pandemic.
Yeah, I would like if they give some information about like actual crime statistics, but whatever. Across 16 publics surveyed in spring 2021, a median of just 17% of adults said democracy in the US is a good example for other countries to follow.
Just 17? Wow.
The US...
So people don't think that America's a good model of democracy. Well, most believe the US is no longer a good model of democracy.
And this is people being asked in all kinds of countries.
I mean, I certainly have some critiques of how our system is played out.
I think it's kind of like a Benjamin Franklin quote or something where it's like the worst one except for all the others or whatever.
Right.
Like,
yeah.
That's pretty much how I feel. I mean, it's obviously an imperfect system, but point me to a better model of democracy, I guess. Mm-hmm. Like, can you? I would, yeah. I'd like to know
what they'd suggest is
better. Yeah. I mean, so these are people being asked in different countries like Canada, Italy, Greece, Spain, UK. Are they saying that that US? They're asking. They ask these people, is the US a good model of democracy? Are these people thinking that their own country is better? I don't know.
I think the US is a good model of democracy because, and I think part of the reason why people have said it wasn't is because of all the rancor that happened around the 2016 election.
Yeah.
And all the, everybody thought, oh, Donald Trump is some sort of autocrat who's going to take over and overthrow the Senate, and January 6th is a coup attempt and stuff like that. All that stuff it's overblown.
Yeah, you can say that.
At least, if not fully fake, it's overblown.
Do you want to
Yes?
add something?
I'll be a disembodied voice off the camera.
We have a disembodied voice
gotta-
joining
I'm
us.
chiming in. Okay. Here's another Benjamin Franklin quote for you. Okay. A woman once asked him after, they went through the Constitutional Convention in Philadelphia and all that stuff, and it came out. And she asked him what kind of government will we have? He said, republic, if you can keep it.
Yeah.
He didn't say a democracy, because this is America. We're not a good model of democracy because we're not a democracy.
That is true.
That's why we're not a good
We're
model
a
of democracy.
constitutional republic, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so,
But that's not what these people meant.
Yeah. No.
Sure.
Yeah.
They don't understand
But-
democracy or republic.
also democracy
Yeah.
is, I think, like a fetishized word nowadays. Ooh, we need a democracy. We need a democracy. One of the reasons why we don't have the Articles of Confederation anymore is because it was too democratic.
Yeah.
If you look at, there's a bunch of people you can look at. Elbridge Gerry, gerrymandering. He's not the most liked guy, obviously. But then you've got Richard Sherman, John Sherman of Connecticut, I can't remember, or Edmund Randolph. There's a bunch of people who say that we have the Constitution now because the Articles of Confederation was too democratic. That's why we have a Constitution now.
And it's interesting. So my dad sent me a podcast about John Adams, my favorite president. You're
welcome.
Back in October, he sent it to me, and I finally listened to it like last week. But it was interesting because John Adams was very aware of the fact that like we didn't want a country that was too democratic. We didn't want it too much in the hands of the people, and we also didn't want it too much in the hands of a tyrant. Like we didn't want a monarchy, but we also didn't want a democracy. We wanted something in the middle. And
We wanted the best of both worlds.
Yeah.
A turkey that's shaped and flavored like ham.
One of the problems with the Articles of Confederation was that because it was a pure democracy, right?
Yeah.
And so the poor would vote against the rich, and it caused a lot of economic stagnation because people who are rich don't want to invest in the economy. They don't want to do all these things to make money because they feel like it's just going to be taken away from them anyways.
Right.
And I feel like people who say that, eat the rich, tax the rich, whatever, it's just the same thing playing out 300 years later.
Right.
So
Yeah.
it's just ahistorical.
So yeah,
That's always the way it goes. I mean, they say in a true democracy, if in a democracy where there's two wolves and a sheep, if they vote for what's for dinner, the sheep is always
yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah. And I mean,
it's the tyranny of the mob.
If we had a true democracy, I mean, wouldn't that make it even harder for slavery to have been abolished? Because African Americans were obviously a minority, a vast minority. And that's a huge argument against a pure democracy, is that you can just vote to enslave part of the population.
Because if your rights come from government, they don't come from anywhere else, then what's wrong with slavery?
Yeah.
If you vote for it, if everyone voted for it, if you're in the racial minority and the racial majority votes to enslave you, what's wrong with that? If your rights come from government.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, I'd like any of these people who said no to give a better example, I guess.
Put it in the comments.
Yeah, let us know. What's a better example?
What's a better example of a democracy?
So in just 5 years, the percentage of Republicans with at least some trust in national news organizations has fallen by half, dropping from 70% in 2016 to 35% this year, to which my husband and I were like, what 35% of Republicans still have trust in media? Because
in any news, or
I mean, I guess this is in
like
national news organizations.
Generally, the news organizations are truthful. No, I'd have to say not.
Yeah.
Generally, the news organizations are biased. They have bias. I don't think they flat out report incidents that didn't happen, but they do pick and choose what incidents they
Yeah.
They cover.
tend to focus on,
Yeah.
and they tend to focus on them in a way that supports an agenda, a
Yeah,
political
for
agenda.
sure.
So it's not nonpartisan.
Yeah.
It's partisan.
It looks like at least across the board for Republicans and Democrats and all adults, I don't know if it's just Republicans and Democrats or what the deal is, but it seems like most of them still have a good amount of trust in local news organizations, which is probably, I mean, local news is, if you're talking about local news, certainly local news organizations are going to be fairly reliable, I would think. As far as them reporting on national news stories, they're going to be getting that news from somewhere else. So I don't know. And it
there's
looks
gonna
like
be
almost,
filters, but
yeah.
yeah.
And it looks like almost no one has trust in social media as a trusted news source, which, I mean,
They're not listening to the right sources for QAnon. I mean, there's clearly clearly a good basis for believing the whole QAnon thing.
It is interesting though that, like, if you think about it, so it says, I guess right now they're saying about 27% of Americans think that the information that comes from social media is reliable or they trust it. But what percentage of adults are getting all of their news from social media? I mean,
Some probably are.
me, I would think a lot. How many people are like reading newspapers? How many people are, I guess it depends on what you mean by social media, but
Newspaper, what is that?
How many people are reading the articles?
yeah, and not just reading headlines or trending things on Twitter or whatever. So even though I don't really trust social
I'm just
media,
clicking on the pictures that say something about like Selena Gomez in a bathing suit reveals new tattoo. That's important to me.
see,
The 10 topless blunders of 2021.
I thought you were gonna say you only click on things if they're giving away concert tickets or
Concert
guns.
tickets or
Because that is
firearms.
pretty much
Much more
what he
accurate.
does. Is
Concert tickets or firearms. That's I'm a sucker for that. I'm a sucker for them.
oh man. All right. Women in the US are now more likely than men to have a 4-year college degree. I don't think that's that surprising. I think
No.
that
It's been trending that way for a long time.
yeah. I think that it's going to be even more of a discrepancy in the future because, first of all, I think, gosh, there's a lot I could say about like the public school system and how it's kind of set up to not be a service to boys and to be more catered toward girls in general. But I think that also like men are going to be more likely to get stuff like vocational degrees and apprenticeships and things that you don't need a degree for. You almost never hear about women doing stuff like that. So I don't know.
And a lot of the other jobs, like high tech jobs and stuff, you don't need degrees for that. You just need skills.
Yeah.
And those are skills that a lot of people just learn on their own in their basement, monkeying around. It's 225.
Yeah. So I wouldn't say that that's a surprising statistic. All right. Most Democrats in the US see voting as a fundamental right, while most Republicans view it as a privilege that comes with responsibilities.
With great power comes great responsibility.
Well, I mean, so
That's what
I
Ben
guess
said.
I guess the question is like, it's obviously not a right in terms of
what does fundamental right mean?
Yeah, because a right in my view, and I guess in the libertarian view, is like something that it's not something given to you by the government, right? And I do think that the right to vote is something given to you by the government. So I would say it's more of a privilege that comes with responsibilities. especially because we take it away from some people. If you're a convicted felon, don't you lose your right to vote?
Yeah.
In some
Sometimes.
circumstances.
In some cases.
Also, you can lose your right to carry a firearm. There you go. There's another thing that can be taken away. And yet people would say that that's not something that's given to you by the government. That's not a right given to you by the government.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. That's interesting.
I would say that as someone, talk about like libertarian views of rights, like you're in the state of nature, you have a set of rights that pre-exist government. And then the question is, why would anyone leave the state of nature and join a society, under a government? And the reason is because
of privileges.
Because in the state of nature, the law is essentially might makes right. That's what it comes down to. And so you join a government full of people, and you all agree that when we have disputes, it'll be resolved by the government instead of the guy with the bigger club bonking the littler guy over the head and then taking all of his crap.
Yeah.
The good old days.
But the question is, why would you leave the state of nature and join government if you couldn't vote, right? Like there must be at some level, because you won't have any say in how your government is run. No one's going to leave the state of nature, from a theoretical
Give
level.
up all power.
Give up all
Just
their
become
ability, autonomy,
enslaved.
to be enslaved by the government. So there must be,
because I could just as easily be enslaved by the big guy with the club.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that's talking about like why the United States, separated from England.
Maybe we think the government is kinder and gentler than the guy with the club.
Maybe only just.
Yeah.
The devil we don't know is better than the devil we know.
Maybe, yeah. But why did the United States separate from England? Because they saw, a long train of abuses and usurpations by the king. Basically, they didn't like being under the whim of one person. But why would you trade? There's that. Have you ever seen The Patriot with Mel Gibson? I like that movie. There's a line in that movie. He says, why would I trade? Why would I trade being under one tyrant 3,000 miles away for being under 3,000 tyrants 1 mile away? And that's that. I think that hits the nail on the head. It's the whim of one or the whim of many. You're still under the whim of a person. And that's the problem. And that's why no one would leave the state of nature and join government to not be able to vote or have any say, because then they're just going to be at the whim of all the people in the government.
Right.
That's why we're a government of laws and not of men.
Yeah.
Right?
Supposedly.
All right. About 3 in 10 Americans are religiously unaffiliated, a 10 percentage point rise from a decade ago. And we should do an episode all about this, because so many people, Bishop Barron is talking about this all the time, about the nuns, the nons, whatever, the people who have no religious affiliation, and how that's rising and why that's rising in the US. So I feel like we could make a whole podcast episode just about that. But so this is saying that Christians continue to make up a majority of the US population at 63%, but their share is 12 points lower in 2021 than it was in 2011. That's a big drop.
12 points
in 10
lower relative to what? Where have those people gone? Into the
into no religion, I guess, because it went from 16% was non-affiliated in 2007 to 29% is not.
So people have chosen the God
now.
they don't know in exchange for the God they did.
Thank God they still never knew.
They didn't want to know.
Because it says that all other religions went from 5% of US adults in 2007 to 6% in 2021. So it's barely risen. It's really just Christianity is losing members, and non-affiliated people are multiplying.
I think I have what is a better question. How has the quality of Christian, the average Christian, changed over that period of time? You know what I mean?
Yeah, like how many people who say that they're Christian are like, have it as an actual part of their identity that they care about? How many of them have a religion?
How many of them could be convicted if it was a crime to be a Christian?
Exactly.
Like, we have a friend who claims to be Catholic, who clearly doesn't follow and he doesn't go to church, doesn't believe any of the core principles, but maybe
Don't talk about me as if I'm not here.
this person would be in that 73% or 60,
63%
63%.
of Christians.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, yeah.
And that's not a high quality.
Well,
Yeah.
and that's the classic. That's the classic critique that a lot of people have of the church is, oh, the church is full of hypocrites and sinners. And why would I want to be a part of that? Because you're a hypocrite and a sinner. You know,
Even if
just
you're not in there.
accept that you are one of those. And if you don't accept that you're one of those, then you're beyond saving.
Yeah.
I mean, if you don't believe that you're in need of salvation, then I guess have at it. You know, you're on your own.
I do think like part of there is a difference between somebody who is a committed Christian who's trying their best but who is still a sinner, and who still fails to live up to the things like Jordan Peterson has said before, that he's like, you know, if I say that I believe in God, like how could I ever say that, because it's like you have to completely change the way you live. And it's like, at least he like understands that Christianity, saying that you believe in the Christian God, is a radical thing that you have to commit to. But there's a difference between saying like, I'm a Christian, and then just not trying at all to make it a part of your life, not caring, not trying to have a relationship with Jesus, not trying to like live up to the things that he wants you to live up to, and genuinely striving for holiness and failing.
What do you think is causing that drop?
I mean, this is what I'm saying. Like, I think we should make this a whole nother episode, because I think it's so complicated, but I think a lot of it is like people.
I don't think it's complicated.
Well, why don't you give me your answer?
I think that over the past, I mean, this is something that's been happening probably for the last 70 years, that churches, I mean, religions at large have started to cater to people more, to try and make religion more accessible, or whatever that means. And in the process, have lost.
Bless you.
In the process, they've lost what makes religion worthwhile at all. So a lot of people are seeing. I think a lot of people are seeing that and turning away.
I absolutely think that that's true. And I also think we were talking about this yesterday, my husband and I think a lot of people who grew up in the 30s, 40s, 50s would have a religious upbringing, but really it was more of just like, this is what our family has always done, this is our culture, rather than like a strong conviction of like, these are the reasons why I believe things.
This is the foundation of our life.
Yeah, I mean, I have one of my relatives is somebody who's a Catholic who goes to church every week, but has major issues with the church, and says, you know, when asked, why are you Catholic? She'll say, it's because it's the culture I grew up in. It's the religion that I had growing up. This is my cultural heritage. And it's like, well, okay, but you don't believe the tenets of the faith. So like,
Right.
you know,
you don't believe and profess the Catholic faith.
Yeah.
You're not in communion with the church.
Yeah.
Why are you going?
And that's why I almost wish.
Have it out. Don't, you know,
Yeah.
it's that lukewarmness.
Yes.
And that's what you're talking about.
Yes.
You know, they're presenting, instead of presenting the blood of Christ, they're presenting, you know, the grape soda.
And
And
social gatherings.
they're
Yeah.
saying, oh, you know, that we've got great grape soda. Come on and have this. And everybody has some grape soda, and they're like, yeah, it's just grape soda, whatever. It's nothing. It's, you know, there's no substance to it.
Yeah.
It's all lukewarm. It's all dishwater. It's all pale substitutes for the real thing that religion is supposed to be. And that if it was, people would be embracing it and heading toward it.
Yeah.
And part of it is, I wonder what percentage of those people, the 78% of people who were Christians in 2007, where now it's only 63%. I mean, what percentage of those people are committed to like actually saying like, what percentage of those people even now can say, I believe all the tenets of the faith?
It goes back to the quality of the Christian.
Yeah. So I wonder is that really decreasing? Is that percentage
I
decreasing?
would bet that is.
Or is it just the percentage of people? I mean, I think that both probably, but I think that a lot of it is just people who are saying, I never really believed anyway. So it's a lot easier to just stay home on Sunday morning and not, especially now in COVID times where it's not a fun social gathering to get together every week with my friends, which a lot of people, that's the reason they go to church is it's a fun social gathering. Yeah. With COVID, with everything.
I used to go for the donuts, but now they don't have.
Well, like you were saying, it's if it's just grape soda, I can go to Sonic 24/7
exactly.
and get a grape soda at my convenience. Why am I going to wake up on Sunday,
right?
You know, through the grog of it all and slog my way to church?
If it's not the blood of Christ,
exactly. If I can't get
that feeds my soul, if I don't believe I have a soul, and if I don't believe that's the blood of Christ that's going to feed my soul, then I'm not going to bother.
And a great example of that, things you can get anywhere and them catering to the people, catering to the masses, is what's the grape soda of today? I think you can get anywhere that they're trying to present now. It's LGBT values. There's a church down by the courthouse that has an LGBTQ flag that they hang outside. That's a thing I can get anywhere, just like grape soda at Sonic. I can get that. Twitter,
woke,
Facebook, just wokeism or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah,
catering to the things that you're already doing.
Good feelings about humanistic acceptance.
Yes, for sure.
Yeah,
that's what it's all. And now it's just become more about. And that's the thing. It's like they've got everything backwards. Religion. I've said
is a vertical issue, not horizontal.
Yes, it's like in imagine if in basketball, right, everyone sucked and they were like, well, we really suck at this game of basketball, let's change the rules, let's not get better, let's not improve ourselves so we can make our jump shot better, so we can dunk, so we can rebound, let's just change the rules of the game.
Let's say everybody who throws the ball in the general direction of the rim gets a point.
Rim, and that's what it is. They're thinking, well, we can't get people to commit to the standards to believe in the tenets of the faith, so let's just lower the
religion
standards.
For dummies.
Exactly. Mass appeal, grape soda for everybody.
Right.
Yeah. I do think we should talk about this more later because I think there's more to say about it. Like I want to say more about the fact that I think things like Orthodox Judaism, traditional Catholicism, like people who are fans of like the traditional Latin Mass and those kind of things. I think those things are increasing because a lot of people are seeing it as like
people have a hunger for that.
Yeah, they want things that are true. They want things that are real.
When they're not fed that readily in the church, they look for it someplace else. They look for it in wokeism. They look for it in social
acceptance,
cultural issues instead of a religious basis.
All right, Democrats and Republicans were deeply divided over former President Donald Trump's role in the events of January 6th. I honestly, do we even need to talk? I think January 6th is so uninteresting. Like, I just don't even care. But I mean, we can discuss it if you want.
No, some people were real. I mean, it was a flagrant offense. It was but Donald Trump's role, I'd have to say my opinion was he didn't do enough to squelch it once it got rolling, but I don't think that he was necessarily responsible for initiating the whole process. It seemed like a lot of that was going on beforehand and was, just radicalized people from the right who were looking for a reason they wanted to have a riot too.
It's cathartic, for a lot of people.
And I think
all the good Antifas and the BLMs and all those people got to have great riots last summer, and we missed out.
See, and I think that part of I think a lot of those people were not like, I don't think a lot of those people would be considered on the right. I think a lot of those people were just trying to cause problems. And some of those people were the same people who are participating in Antifa rallies. And I mean, they're just the people who want to cause chaos.
Yeah.
So
they're anarchists,
in
terms of their temperament.
Yes.
Okay.
They're more nihilists.
Yeah,
Sure.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And also, the whole thing was massively overblown.
Yes.
Did it really have any effect on anything at all?
No. Not even on the day it took place.
No, an hour later, they were
conducting
everything.
the business of Congress, and it was a delay, like a streaker in the middle of a game.
Football game. Yeah.
And it's like, okay,
Well, that was weird.
Is that horrible and terrible? And do we need to say, the integrity of football is now at risk because some idiot ran across the field and was, flashing their genitals? No, some idiot was running across the field flashing their genitals. Has nothing to do with the game of football. It just happened to be in that area. Same thing just because this happened in Washington doesn't mean that Washington is in great need of any kind of reform, although it is.
It's just unrelated. Yeah.
It didn't mean that. It was accidentally.
I do have to say, I think the way they phrased the question is kind of funny.
I agree.
It says the percentage of people who say, thinking about the impeachment trial and acquittal of Donald Trump for his conduct surrounding the riot of the US Capitol, his conduct was, and then either wrong and senators should have voted to convict him, wrong, but senators should not have voted to convict him, or not wrong and should not have been impeached by the House.
I'd say weak, but not treasonous.
I would have said wrong, and he shouldn't have been impeached by the House.
Yeah.
That's not even an option. Right?
Yeah.
It's weak, but not impeachable.
Yeah. Why didn't he squelch it? Because he has the biggest ego of anyone who has ever lived in the history of the world. Sure.
I think he was
impeachable.
Wait, so you're saying
I
wrong,
think
but he should not have
hoping,
been voted?
He should not have been impeached.
Oh, but senators should not have voted to convict,
right? But they don't have a wrong, but the House should not have voted to impeach.
Yeah, it's just like a weird. It's those aren't.
It's probably similar to the split that a lot of people have over the whole Kyle Rittenhouse trial. Kyle Rittenhouse have been charged with the charges that he was given? No, because he clearly wasn't in violation of those statutes.
Right. But
he was in violation of some statutes.
Yeah, but was he in the right?
And he should have been charged and convicted on those.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, which statutes? Because they wanted anything they could get.
I know.
If they could have got him on anything, don't you think they would have got him on something?
This is a young man in possession of a gun.
Sure. Not illegally. They had gun charges. The gun charges were dropped.
Here's my thought about Kyle Rittenhouse.
Because of some stupid artifacts of the Wisconsin law for what makes for illegal possession.
Yep.
I mean, if any 17-year-old can just walk down the street in Wisconsin with an AR-15, there's a problem with their gun laws.
Perhaps that's true. And also, he may not have done anything illegal.
He didn't do anything that was against the law.
Right. Should he?
That was a problem with the law.
Right.
Yeah, I think personally,
legal versus moral. Right?
Personally, my thoughts on Kyle Rittenhouse are like, I think that it was just in that he didn't get convicted of all the things that he was accused of. But I think that the fact that people are like propping him up as some sort of like, we need to celebrate him is insane because he's an annoying 17-year-old kid.
Right.
Yeah.
Every news story that comes out about him is like, he was browsing porn and he wants a
hero. Right.
Yeah, like he wants a girl, like he said he wants a girlfriend with big boobs. It's like, yeah, he's a 17-year-old kid. Like he's completely immature. He's annoying. I think that he needs to just go away and not be in the public eye anymore.
I agree with that, but I also think that there is the reaction to him on the right and kind of glorifying him in a way is in part driven by BLM, the riots, all that stuff.
If we could just get him and the Kardashians together, maybe they could mutually annihilate.
I think the issue is that people just feel like, look, the police aren't going to protect me. Talking about leaving, I'm leaving the state of nature and joining government. Part of the reason you do that is for the police to protect you and resolve the disputes. what the hell's going on in all these big cities where people are just smashing windows and on
Burning,
mass
just
taking whatever they want, right?
burning and smashing. I mean, that's what was going on in that city that day.
Right. Yes.
The police were parked well away from where the action was going on and were refusing to intervene, probably because that's what they were told to do.
Told to stand down.
They
That's what
said-
all of the-
they
all the
said,
mayors were saying,
Let
"Stand
people
down."
have their tantrum.
Yep.
Don't go and do anything about it. Other people who had actual skin in the game
Yep.
said,
Yeah.
no, you're not going to have a tantrum on
On my property.
on my auto car lot,
I
you
would,
know. And so I'm going to get this 17-year-old whack job to protect my property. What?
Yeah.
That
The
one
whole
thing led to
system, yeah.
another. It was a series of unfortunate.
All right, we've gone way off of the Trump's
go ahead.
actions
All right.
in the Capitol riot or whatever they want to call it. Okay,
Yeah,
for
but
the
it's similar.
yes, for the first time, the number of Americans who identify as non-Hispanic white declined between 2010 and 2020. Now,
where'd all the white people go?
I don't understand. I guess I don't understand this because my husband was telling me about this earlier, and it said like, okay, about 6 in 10 U.S. adults said the decline in the white share of the U.S. population is neither good nor bad for society.
Yeah.
About 2 in 10 said it's
Just is.
bad, including 9% who said it's very bad. Slightly fewer said it is good, including 7% who said it's very good. I just like, is this just people are identifying as something different?
That's what I think. Do I think that if there are more or less white people in America, that's a good or bad thing? I don't care because I don't think race matters. You know,
Right.
I don't care if I'm
Yeah.
the only white person in America. But what I do have a problem with is people seeing the value in not being white and then picking a different race that they think they can pass as in order for some sort of weird, abstract social credit. That's the problem that I have.
Well, and not even abstract. I mean,
Are you
think about.
disputing my Eskimo heritage?
I was gonna say, think about somebody like, you know, what's her name?
Elizabeth Warren.
Elizabeth Warren,
Yeah.
who
Pocahontas?
she actually got
her job. at
her
Harvard
job
for claiming to be Native
because she
American.
was
I mean, I don't
claiming
know
to
if
be
that's
Native
true,
American.
but-
She didn't get it because
Well,
of
Yeah,
that.
I've heard that.
It didn't hurt her chances of getting it, and she was lauded because she was a Native American woman, and
Yeah.
it's something that she
I think
used.
she was the first Native American professor lauded as the first at Harvard.
It's cultural appropriation, you know,
I
and
don't even know. I don't know what that means.
and part of it is the devaluing of non-Hispanic white culture has led to people wanting to flee from that identity, and people are wanting to say, oh, I'm not one of those. Oh, I'm not a Karen or a, you know,
a
I
white
don't know what
boomer.
I know what
I
a-
don't know.
what
Yeah,
a dude is, you know,
a
That is the
Chad.
definition of a white boomer, I think.
yeah,
Yeah, but
a Karen or a whatever, you know, what was Barbie? Ken, a Karen or a Ken. I'm not a Karen or a Ken. I'm a solid person who loves everybody and
You're
who isn't just,
compassionate, right?
yeah.
I think
Just
part
so
of it.
compassionate.
I
I
mean,
am
part of
so
it too is
compassionate.
like we are now in a society where everything has to be diversity and equity and inclusion, and so all these companies are hiring based on race. They're just they're just hiring against white people. So it's like, of course, if I can claim to be Native American, I'm going to claim to be Native American because guess what? I can now get into college at a higher rate. I can get scholarships that that I'm not otherwise eligible for. I mean, there's lots of jobs where if you are an African American man, you have a better chance of getting it than somebody who has the same qualifications if you're a Caucasian man, which is literally like what we're trying
That's
to
racism.
correct.
That's
Yeah.
racist.
Yeah, of
If
course.
the
I mean,
difference
like,
between me getting into a state school or an Ivy League is me checking the Native American box on my form, I think I'm probably going to be checking that box.
yeah, I mean, like, hey, I am 1% Native American according to my ancestry DNA.
Is that what it says?
Yeah, it says
1%?
yeah, I'm 1%. I'm more than that.
You got shortchanged, dude.
The benefits of diversity, equity, and inclusion. You know what? No one's ever explained to me what those benefits are. What are those benefits?
Because
What
we're
are-
stronger together.
What does that mean?
It doesn't mean anything, but
No, just the value, I do believe there is a benefit of that, in that there is value.
But they're talking about racial diversity, equity, inclusion, right? They're not talking
I'm
about
talking about,
intellectual.
I'm talking about ethnic.
Yeah,
I'm talking about all kinds of diversity.
but they're not.
They're
Right?
not
They're
talking
talking about a very specific, narrow idea of what diversity is.
Sure.
And
Right.
it's racial. And the problem with
racial and sexual,
that, okay, sure.
Yeah.
but the problem-
LBGT.
The
Yeah.
problem with that is
Q
they say,
plus.
you know what, we can tell that you are going to be some sort of benefit to us because you're black and we're not black. And the presumption is that because you're black, we must have different experiences,
Mhm.
you know, because you're black.
And that
How
you're
is
going to
that not-
complement.
How is that not racist? I claim
It
to
is,
kn- I
it is
claim to
somewhat race.
know-
It is somewhat racist. It might have some basis in reality as well.
Do we really think that, you know, Jacob Blake had the same upbringing and experience as Barack Obama?
No.
Right? No, of course not. They're both black, yet we know somehow that if
Right.
we add them to the team, that's a bonus because they must have some experience. What about Jacob Blake and his white neighbor? Who had a closer experience? Jacob Blake and his white neighbor, or Jacob Blake and Barack Obama?
Right.
Probably Jacob Blake and
That's
his white
why they
neighbor,
talk about, I mean,
right?
Theo Vaughn, the comedian,
Yeah,
he's always talking about, he grew up in,
Louisiana.
Louisiana. And he's always saying, you know, people always talk about white privilege. He's like, white privilege? I was wearing 2 tank tops in the winter time. He's like, you know, he's like, everybody was just poor in my neighborhood. It didn't matter if you were black or white. Everyone
I
was
think
poor.
it's more of a socioeconomic and
for
class
sure.
issue that determines what kind of experiences you have
Yeah.
in America. Yeah.
Okay, I have 15 minutes before I have to go. So we want to talk about the last few of these
Sure, let's
quickly?
do it.
All right. Okay. Only 34% of US adults under the age of 30 now get TV through cable or satellite, down from 65% in 2015.
In 2015, we used to get it. Now we don't.
And
So,
I've never bought cable
I've never paid
my
for
life,
cable,
and I
but
will never do it.
that doesn't surprise. I mean, everything
back in the day, that's how
Yeah,
people got
got
their
TV.
media.
Sure.
Yeah.
I mean, now it's like, if you want to watch TV, you watch Netflix, you watch Hulu,
Yeah.
you watch
You get some sort of internet based
streaming.
yeah, rather than cable based.
This is a little aside, but if you're a giant media company, aren't you woeing the existence of the internet? Don't you long for the days when everyone got their information from the
When
same
they
two
relied,
channels,
when they had to depend on you.
from the same pipeline that got to everyone's house? But now everything's so fragmented that
Right.
you come out with some insane story and everyone's like, huh, that would be crazy if that happened, huh?
Yeah.
You know, like nobody actually believes you anymore, and they all have their alternative new age media
Right.
sources or whatever.
I'm actually surprised that 34% of adults under the age of 30 get TV through cable or satellite. I mean,
That there's that many.
what's the benefit? What's
We
the
got
benefit
free
of
cable
It used to
in
be-
some places we live.
It used to be 2 out of 3, 65%.
Yeah.
Now it's 1/3,
Yeah.
34%.
But I guess, like, I mean, what can you get from cable that you're not getting from
I
like
honestly think
streaming?
some
Is it like
places-
sports? I mean,
Sports,
like,
but
Maybe
Hulu-
some.
I think maybe it's a little bit sports, but also I think there's probably just some places that, one, you get it for free because we live places where you get it for free, and 2, they probably just get it bundled with their internet or something like that. There's
Yeah.
some sort of like
yeah, that is
bundle.
true. Our internet provider is sending us letters every
All the
other day saying you
Begging
can
you to
save
take
if you bundle with
get some
TV.
cable.
Yeah.
like, these people probably have cable like nominally. They're
Yeah.
not using it, they just happen to have it.
Yeah. 2/3 of US adults say extreme weather events across the country have been occurring more often than in the past. I don't care what adults are saying is happening. I want to know what is actually happening.
And that,
This
and
is
that,
something
and
you can
that's
actually
that's
measure.
just like the Asian American
Yeah, exactly.
thing.
Exactly.
Is it actually happening more, or
Yeah.
are we just noticing it because it's been called to our attention?
Yeah,
I
exactly,
actually
100%.
did read a statistic that I think that extreme weather events are actually happening more.
Mhm.
What is
But
what does that mean? What
There's
is extreme weather?
like there are like actual, I'll link the information in the description box. But I think there are actual objective standards for what's considered an extreme weather event. But once again, I don't like, give me that information. Don't give me what people say is happening. That's just
Right.
not interesting to me.
People's opinions are
Like elbows.
yes.
Everybody has one.
And they're all stinky.
All right.
I wash mine.
A growing share of US adults are neither married nor living with a partner. I think I feel like we've talked about that too, as far as like single parenthood and that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I think it's interesting. Yeah. Yeah.
A lot of people are just living singly.
alone.
Yeah. Living alone, which is that's a lonely existence. And
Yeah.
Especially now during COVID times when a lot of people are like, my husband has a friend who his only social interaction that he had before was going to work. Now he doesn't go to work. He works from home. It's like, I don't know if he ever sees other human beings. I mean, it's like if he goes to the grocery store, like that's it. I mean, he doesn't really have like a big group of friends. He doesn't have like community. And I think a lot of people are like that.
Yeah. Sometimes I will like check in on him, literally just to see how he's doing, make sure he's alive, because I don't know if anyone else is doing it.
it looks like it, and it looks like the married, it's mainly marrieds who have taken the hit. Yeah. Went from 67% to 53%.
I think the reason for that is very closely linked to the drop in religion.
Right.
Yeah.
Because the experience of marriage is much less valuable, much less rich and meaningful to a lot of people. A lot of people live as though they're married without being married. So what's the value of marriage?
It's the same thing. It's the same answer as the people who aren't having kids.
Mhm.
It's because it's a sacrifice to get married. It's a difficult sacrifice to be married.
Yeah.
And it's something that you have to
putting up with
other
burdensome
people's
people.
crap. Yeah. I mean, it's
Sorry,
like,
George.
all right. Last statistic, around the world, more people mention their family as a source of meaning in their lives than any other factor.
That's not new. Is that new?
It's striking.
Let's see. It says, well, family, careers, material
Is it
well-being,
striking?
friends, and health are
It's
all
a
top
voice.
sources of meaning. They vary in importance across publics surveyed.
So around the world, people view family as being more important.
Not in South Korea.
Yeah, I
Check it
thought
out.
South Korea is the only country where the number one thing of what is the actual
Material
question?
well-being.
What gives people meaning in life is material well-being,
Wow.
as we were talking about earlier, is not surprising why their suicide rate is so high and why their work culture is so toxic.
And their birth rate is so low.
Yep, they also have the lowest birth rate in the world right now.
1.1.
1.1.
Really, the
Yes.
South Koreans?
South Korean birth
It's not
rate
even-
is
not even close.
1.1.
They've completely gone materialistic Western.
If you ever go to South Korea, you will see it's insane. Everyone is carrying around like a shopping bag from the mall all the time.
Uh-huh.
It is so incredibly material.
Just shopping.
It's such a shop.
But it's also like
crazy.
everybody works 12-hour days and then goes out and gets drunk
with their boss.
because it's like the culture to have to go out and drink with your work companions.
Yeah.
Like
it's your
it's
your work companions become your family. It's that sort of culture, and it's that sort of culture that they want it, like even in America, in some industries like big law firms, it's very much, oh, the associate next to you, that's your buddy. You're the senior partner who's looking over you. Oh, that's your father. It's like, it's insane.
that's your
Wow.
comrade.
Yeah.
Faith,
Is fifth in America and found nowhere else in any other country. How about that?
isn't that striking?
Yeah.
That's striking and shocking.
Because when my
is
husband
that faith has fallen off the map as a source of meaning. Why aren't people going to church? There you go.
Yeah.
Faith has fallen off the map.
yeah well, that was kind of a depressing end to this episode, but I do have to get going because I have an appointment here in a minute. But
It's not depressing. It means there's plenty of opportunity for growth.
At least we live in one of the
kids.
only countries that is shown where faith is on the map.
We're the only one on that list.
Yeah.
Of the, like, what are these these are all first world countries.
Even
Mainly,
even in Taiwan, the fifth listed thing is hobbies. Hobbies made it, but faith didn't.
A few of them have general positive.
General positive.
What does that mean?
Just feeling good.
General positive over faith.
Yeah, right.
Well,
material well-being.
I hope that this was interesting. At least I hope it gave you some things to think about. And I don't know, maybe, I guess the good news is in the next 10 years, we can change the culture for the better, right? We can always be moving toward something better, and it starts in our homes. And I think that
you want to change the world, go home and love your family.
yeah, and I think that, like, you know, going back to a
If you
lot
wanna
of these
change the
things,
world, spread the faith.
I think that
That's
a
what
lot,
Mother Teresa said, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
I think that a lot of these
Did
things,
she?
Yeah, she said, if
She
you want
said-
to change the world, go home and love your family.
Okay.
I have that quote above my sink because it's hard for me to do that.
Well, family, yeah, well, and family is easy to love. Look at that. Number one, almost across the board.
And
Except in South Korea, where it's easier to love Abercrombie and Fitch, I guess.
Yeah. I think that a lot of the answers to a lot of these issues is that we have so much abdication of responsibility in the home. I think that parents outsource the raising of their kids to other people a lot. And I think that that's something that we can change. We can make the effort, because it is a sacrifice and an effort to like homeschool my children and raise them in the faith and do all those things. But I think that that's the only way that we instill faith in our kids. It's the only way we instill values of these religious values and political values that I care about are worth holding on to and worth fighting for. And the only way that you're going to pass that on to your kids is to live it and to show them. And so anyway,
Yeah,
I'll get off my soapbox.
there's certain things that are worth putting intentional effort into, and there's certain things that are not. And a lot of people have fallen into just not putting intentional effort into the things that used to be the bedrock, the faith, family, you know, like you said, abrogating our responsibilities in terms of our kids, just letting them go, letting them be, letting the culture raise them.
Letting the schools do it.
Yeah, which is the culture.
The culture, yeah.
You know, schools are not pure.
Yeah, you could say that.
All
right.
Schools have been infiltrated by the wokeness
Well,
in a big way.
I will stop sharing this and we will say thank you for joining us. And yeah, we're not going to probably regularly record again, but I hope to get back to like maybe once a month recording.
I'm giving them the evil eye.
Can I say a sign off thing?
Sure.
Okay. Worship God, not yourself.
That's your advice.
That's my advice.
Good.
Remember that commercial? There's literally it's like a Nair commercial or something, some sort of like women shaving commercial. The line at the end of the commercial is literally worship yourself. Don't do that. That's my advice.
Don't do that. Move.
Also, I was watching Fight Club, I don't know, within the last month, and a line in the movie, he says, self-improvement is masturbation. That's what he says. And I think that that's true to an extent. You know what I mean? I think there's a lot of that, like people who go to the
it's
gym
like, what do
and
you
they love to look at themselves in the mirror. I think it's true in that instance. And I think there's a lot of that in society. And I think that leads back into self-worship. Don't do that. Worship God.
Yeah, it's like, what if you're improving yourself toward the end of like serving God or
Exactly.
getting to heaven?
But there's a lot of achievement for its own sake. And I think that that's pointless.
Yeah.
It's achievement. Achievement is a means to an end. Achieve so that you can get to heaven, so you can get other people to heaven. Again, worship God next.
Yeah.
The school I went to growing up, the tagline was achieve and believe. Actually, I think it was believe and achieve.
That was that Dax.
Yeah.
Yeah.
At Dax, believe and achieve.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyway, thanks for joining us, everyone. And I don't know when we'll be back, but we will be back. So see y'all next time.